Hey guys, off to a great start.
Yep.
Hey guys, how you doing? Little different show this week. We cut our silly music opening to bring you kind of a different stream. We'll be back next week on the Harmonix live stream. We do this every Monday for those of you who haven't joined us before. And I will plug now. You can subscribe if you want to see some games content in the future, because I don't want to do that plug as we go through the rest of the show. But we canceled our content this week. We'll be back next week with some stuff on Fantasia, and we're going to be talking to Cassie Crooker, who works at Harmonix. But we moved that to next week because our friend Ryan Davis from Giant Bomb passed away this past week, and we owe him a lot. And so we wanted to just take a couple minutes and talk to you guys. Obviously the chat is open on twitch.tv/harmonixmusic. If you're watching this embedded somewhere, go there. You can chat with other people who may have known Ryan. If you don't know who Ryan is, he's a good close friend of ours. He's the co-founder of GiantBomb.com, which is a great games website. I used to work at GameSpot before that. He's a good friend to Harmonix and Harmonix Games, and also a pretty big inspiration for what we do on this stupid, terrible show every Monday at 6, which is to say, he kind of taught us from the stuff they did in Giant Bomb just to talk right to the audience and be open with all of our warts and all development process, and kind of show you guys who we are as people and become friends with you and become sort of a big community that talks about games as a conversation and not just as a big marketing PR nonsense thing. So you may have seen Ryan if you follow Dance Central or Rock Band coverage. Him and Jeff Gerstmann sort of are our friends who we sometimes yell at and make funny, dumb videos where we make them dance and silly things happen. And so we're really sad that we lost Ryan last week. He was 34 and he's gone way too soon. So figured we'd talk a little bit about what he meant to us. His ethos had always sort of just been do a show. He hosted, marathon big live shows for Whiskey Media. He hosted E3 coverage and podcasts, the weekly Hey Everybody It's Tuesday Bombcast, shout out for the Giant Bombcast on iTunes. And he was a big inspiration to how we do things. So we figured, why not just do a show? Hopefully you guys all know this is out of love and respect, and it's a little weird to have a recurring show on the day that our friend's passing has been sort of announced to the world, but better to do a show and talk to you guys about what he meant to us than sit here and pretend like it's not happening. So I'm going to sit down at our desk right now and talk to Aaron, who's going to join me, and we're just going to catch up on some things. So I'm going to say, here we go. Watch the whole world move, because green screens, another thing that Ryan appreciated a lot. Oh, God, there he is behind us there. So that's
sit.
Good sit, right?
Good sit.
Good cut, Pope. So Eric Pope, at Mr. Pope on Twitter, he is behind the boards directing the show, and he's pulled some fun images of Ryan, and we're going to tell some stories and hang out, and our friend Joe is on the soundboard making sure we all sound good, so if you have complaints, direct them at Joe. And we do have a bunch of people in the chat. I think Christine, Annette, and Nick are in the chat. Is that right? Or generally speaking, are like loitering in the chat, so they're there to share stories and memories and also to ban the shit out of anybody who's being an asshole. Because this is a particular show, we will have no patience for that. Sorry. So Ryan did shows like this, does shows, had done shows like this with Vinny and Jeff and Brad and Patrick.
Than this, though.
Way better. Way better than anything you are seeing. Even Ryan in a static image with a microphone in front of him and headphones on in front of a creepy concrete wall with a fire extinguisher on it. Better host than we are going to be right now.
He set the bar pretty high.
Yeah.
And that was something that when Pope first started pushing the idea of doing a live stream, and even the podcast, Giant Bomb and Ryan especially were kind of like that high watermark that I know that he was aiming for.
Eric Pope's career has basically been figure out what Ryan Davis is doing and then try to steal that idea and do it here about just our games. And that is a scary thing for Pope, I'm guessing, in addition to losing one of his very, very good friends. Like, I don't know what his next career move is going to be.
But I mean, it's worked pretty well for us that we have any job today. It's a testament to how good Ryan was. If we could bite his style and still manage to coast.
Yeah. And Justin McElroy of Polygon, who is sort of in that same echelon of cool dudes that we ape the style of a lot, wrote a really nice piece on Polygon about his friends. Sumit wrote sort of the obit that they did today. Yeah. But Justin wrote a little editorial piece about trying to impress Ryan and really wanting, feeling validated when Ryan liked a thing or wanted to hang out with you and feeling like you were part of kind of the cool kids conversation. And that was one of the best things is I've been sort of telling people ahead of the announcement today, that Ryan had passed, everyone was pretty uniformly devastated. Even people who didn't know him very well, who had met him once or twice. He's just like one of the warmest, nicest dudes. And a lot of the fans we've talked to on Twitter and Facebook have just said like, I don't know him, and I don't know him personally, and I'm like sobbing at my desk right now.
Just Casey Malone's blog echoed that too, where I think
hung out with him 4 times.
Maybe met him a handful of times, but he was that kind of person where like even when he was picking on you, like you just like it felt so good to have him pick on you.
Yeah. He was a dick in just the best ways sometimes, but mostly just a big warm teddy bear.
Well, like if he didn't care, he wouldn't even engage.
No.
But he was always so good, and that was something that really made an impact on me when I first started meeting him at shows. That so many people would come up and just like ask for autographs or ask for photos, like more than anyone I've ever met in gaming, and he was always so good about making time on the E3 show floor where he's swamped. He's got packed schedule all week long, but he would always take the time to like stop and talk with people, and that was always hugely important to me to see that.
And I guess it's just that everyone, I mean, like some of us were out there for Ryan got married on a week ago Saturday, which is really recently. So on some level, there's small solace to take in the fact that very recently he sort of had one of the best weeks I think in his life, probably. I guess all of his family and friends were gathered around him in San Francisco, hanging out and celebrating him and his wife, and that was a pretty awesome thing to happen. A couple days before he passed away. But I guess in general, the thing that I think is the most powerful about the way Ryan conducted himself, whether it be hosting a show on Giant Bomb and talking to a random developer who he'd never met before, or talking on Twitter with somebody, or talking on Facebook with somebody, or just running into the show on the show floor, is that you just felt like you were already his friend.
Yeah.
Like he sort of cut past all of the nonsense and formality of getting to know you, and just immediately started shit talking with you or at you and making you feel like you were included, and that was a big deal for us. Actually, Ryan being able to make friends and making everyone feel like they were part of our cohesive. So I think Ryan was one of the not pieces of glue. You don't have pieces of glue. One of the dollops of glue.
Sure.
He's a dollop of glue. Ryan was one of the dollops of glue that kind of held our gaming community together, like what I think of as our friends in video games.
Oh,
and
definitely.
It's a little inside baseball-y because you guys are obviously, if you're watching the stream, you love games, or you love Giant Bomb, or you like some of the stuff we do, or some of the dumb stuff that we do, and all those things combined. Ryan really actually was way more at the center of that than it may have appeared at first. I know I had no PR experience when I started at Harmonix, and I met Ryan 6 years ago, and they were still at GameSpot, and became like quick friends with him, but again, sort of pre-Twitter mania and all that stuff, was not in constant dialogue, and then really grew to get closer and closer to him. And I want to just like bring up the anecdote of, and we'll talk more about this in August at PAX panel we might be doing about the game, but Ryan is actually like largely responsible in some weird way for Fantasia being a game that is happening right now. So, and this is kind of a weird story, but so of the people I've known the longest in video games, the person I've known the longest probably is John Vignacchi at Disney Interactive. Except I didn't know him well at all. John Vignacchi actually grew up about 3 blocks away from my house in Chicago. So he's probably the person I've known the longest and the person I'm like geographically closest to in video game development. But we probably met each other once or twice in high school. He was like just the right amount of age older than me that we never were at the same place at the same time. So I've seen him before and he had seen me before. We weren't really close friends. And Ryan, of all people, sort of introduced us as part of this like extended Chicago family posse. Ryan wasn't from Chicago, but he knew that Johnny was from Chicago, and people like Adam Boyes and Dave Lang had worked in Chicago, and sort of this weird community formed. And because Johnny and I became friends through Ryan, through being on the Bombcast together at GDC in 2010, 9, like in the basement of Whiskey Meteor. I don't know what years it was, but like because we found a friendship there through Ryan and hung out with Ryan together and became friends outside of that. And actually, Johnny was the one who called me and told me of Ryan's passing, which was a really emotional conversation. But Johnny approached me and said, "Hey, we want to do I'm working at Disney on a different game. He's working on Infinity, which wasn't announced, and I want to do a thing with Harmonix. I want to talk to you about like working on a game. I want to work on Fantasia with you guys." And between Adam Boyes becoming the indie games, a king aficionado at third party at PlayStation, and Dave Lang becoming like the dive kick hero that he now is, and me and Johnny making this weird game, like these are all things that happen, because of Ryan and Jeff at Giant Bomb, and I think largely because of Ryan's weird desire to pair cool people together. Like we know Max Tenkin because of Ryan at Cards Against Humanity. We know Phil Tibbs at Octodad, and you know,
and
the Young
things
Horses
can be
stuff.
weirdly fractured.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, in the gaming community, like, especially among gamers, but it happens with devs too, that there's not always as much intermingling as you'd think there would be. Like, we don't know everyone at every...
Because we're all sitting in our caves working on this game for a year and a half and not talking to each other, because why would we?
And he was always really good about, you know, if he was hanging out and talking with someone, Ryan was really good about saying, like, oh, you know so-and-so, or you should know so-and-so, and just kind of, like, pairing people up, like you said. Really cool way to, like, that theory that a rising tide lifts all ships, like, he was very good about just socially making sure that everyone was kind of like paired up with people, and that everyone kind of like just had a place.
And in a way that felt super natural. And never, I mean, supernatural and also supernatural. It didn't ever feel like it was a forced thing where Ryan was going to organize drinks. We're all going to go to drinks together. Just like, hey, we're all hanging out at this show, and like Ryan is just disorganized enough that no one knows when the fuck they're going on. So we're all gathered in the lobby waiting for an hour and a half.
And people go because Ryan says
and you're going there waiting to talk to him and make jokes, and like basically like his entire show just like this. Like, there's no script. There's a 3 bullet point outline just in case I wanted like another topic to talk about. But you go and you just like shoot the shit with your friend and make jokes. And I posted the Dance Central 3 quick look we did earlier last year with him, just because it's like 22 minutes of Matt Bach and I trying to talk about the features in this game,
he wasn't having it,
with just Ryan just
cutting
us to size, and Jeff Gersman just hanging out behind us in a creepy way. And that was why you went, and you met other people there, and that's how I became friends with the Double Fine guys, and you know, Brad Weir and Greg Rice and all those dudes, and he's a really important dude, and we're gonna miss him a lot. He also, but so we should mention that the way those are very formal settings for Ryan. Those were like polo shirt days for Ryan, where we would hang out and we would do like a formal. We're gonna do an interview. We're gonna do a scheduled press appointment. We're gonna do an on-camera thing. But there were also just shenanigans. Like, the real reason that everyone was friends with Ryan, other than his like constant Twitter baiting and razzing, which you just like thirsted for once you had it. Like, his attention was something you really wanted more of. Just the shenanigans. So we have a bunch of like Harmonix stories. I don't know, Pope apparently pulled together like a slideshow of nonsensical things that he wants to run, debate maybe over Get Lucky by Daft Punk. So is that what's going to happen? So Ryan, you should know before Pope presses play and you ask why we're putting like the happiest disco music on. I can't wait for people to tune in mid-Twitch TV stream and fucking try to source out why disco is happening. But Ryan was what he called himself, I think, and I'm not sure if it's still his Twitter profile, but it's just like king of the summer jams, right? The realest of the real summer jams. He loved just like happy music and dumb shit and funny jokes. And so he has an epic Spotify playlist that is just like all of his favorite songs. He took contributions from other people. And so this, you know, Daft Punk's Get Lucky being one of the jams of the summer. I think Pope was talking about just having that playing quietly as we just look at some photos and talk about dumb shit we've done with Ryan over the year. And I'm sorry for cursing if it offends you. That's how we would always talk. So you want to do that, Pope?
Yep.
Pope's going
Just to warn you, they're not all goofy.
They're not all goofy. No, some of the photos are going to be really sad and serious, I guess. Oh, great.
A nice poltergeist-style
Sweet. I like being,
video.
How many of them will be semi-transparent, floating and moving in real time behind me?
No.
All right, so hopefully you can get rid of our ugly mugs and we can see some cool shit and talk about some stuff with Ryan. So, yeah, there it is. Because why not? Yeah, there it is. So Ryan hosted the Bombcast every Tuesday. Still one of the best, probably the best podcast in video games, if I do say so. So you can check out all those. Just a total badass. Great host. A very formal photo. I believe Steven Totillo took this picture. Just Ryan looking boss at E3. That's actually in the E3 Convention Center. You can tell by the signs behind him. So in his most formal attire, I've actually never seen him, other than his wedding, never seen him that dressed up. Other than maybe when he was pretending to be a cough.
Still rocking the New Balance.
Still rocking the New Balance. He decided to dress up that year. He was a formal E3, and Totillo got it on camera. So good on him. This is his default expression. This is what I would see running at me at high speeds for a hug. Yeah, no, I mean, he was just like a happy dude, capable of being like an overexpressive Muppet if he wanted to be, or a quietly sardonic cigarette-smoking dude. That is the opposite side of the spectrum, just the most badass, Lemmy facial hair rocking white wolf motherfucker, looking good in the aviators. I don't know what this is. What is happening behind the Kinect in front of me? Is this just a weird Chiron graphic of him being a ghost?
Tough to say.
Not okay. Too soon. So, you know, hosting live video content was really a thing that I think Giant Bomb did better than anyone else for a long time in games, and still probably does better than anyone else. So, you know, these composite things of just Brad Shoemaker looking all the way the best, Eric. I'm glad you picked this photo.
You could pick any still of Ryan from almost any video, and he would look either amazingly disinterested or
that excited. Yeah, I think that's one of the best things about him is the dude is just like so sincere all the time. I think sincerity is one of the things where sarcasm and sincerity are hard to pair, and he did it really well. Like he made you feel like he cared about you, and that's why he was making jokes, not like he was just trying to cut you down. I don't. Yeah, move off. Oh God, what is just some American Sign Language? Yep, just wave. Ryan trying to hold his shit together, looking over there. This is what you get when you have a lot of people on set and you're trying to maintain composure while bad things happen around you. This is basically the hell that I've exposed myself to in trying to host a show that was inspired by Ryan and having Pope put whatever he feels like on screen. So this is, I believe, is this Ryan wearing one of the Connect launch party, one of the Connect, the Connect Holocaust? So the Connect, I don't know the story behind this. All I know is that during the Connect launch party where they did this weird Cirque du Soleil show, they gave everyone these weird white poncho things that had lights in them and were like location sensitive. So this is clearly them on like a green screen background. It's been Chiron'd out. The old Whiskey Media Studio was really pretty green screen heavy at first and kind of grew and grew over time to be a little bit more of a live set. Now there's a kind of a complete live set there. But yeah, I guess he just wanted to wear that poncho again. Is there a story behind that you know of? So we talked about this earlier today. I retweeted one of the podcasts, like YouTube snippets of the podcast, where I guess the New Yorker quoted them.
Yeah.
Like quoted Ryan talking about how Assassin's Creed 2 was like violent as shit, and that like
there's a mode where you could stab a guy in the neck like 5 times.
Just and I guess the joke or the funny part about that is Ryan also read it in this like weird like witness protection program.
Buffalo Billy voice.
Yep, terrible voice. You know, like dude was badass on a microphone, and when quoted out of context, apparently sounds like a total psychopath. But you know, in context, that was a pretty insightful comment about Assassin's Creed 2, if I had to say so myself. Yep, here comes the dazzle face. I don't have much to say about this other than the disaffect, somewhere between the jazz handy madness and the disaffected stare of this motion GIF. This is a weird. I feel like this is when I want Ryan caressing my body. This is what I'm gonna think of. It's strangely timed to the Daft Punk pulse of it all.
Almost like you did it deliberately.
So this was the, in the scope of stupid shit, the Giant Bomb Game of the Year Awards 2 years ago, I guess? 3 years ago? 2 years ago?
2011 awards.
2011. Yeah. So they did a whole like weird, all their bumpers with these weird like live action full motion video call outs.
Yes.
And they result in a Ryan taking a sombrero, getting shot off with a smaller sombrero under it, which is still just one of the greatest things of all time. And like, you know, just had amazing comedic timing and was so naturally funny, but was mostly just like chill and natural with people and didn't usually do staged things like this, but put him in a stage bit and he is the best sombrero wearing clown. Holy shit, that's amazing.
Pope had tweeted something to this effect earlier about how, and maybe that might help clarify why we're kind of cracking up on this stream. Like, the more you look into Ryan's life, the more apparent it became that he was a man that loved laughing and loved having fun.
It's like his life is basically just pure video game joy most of the time.
And that was the point. Like, I know that in the office it was pretty dour earlier today, but like the more we started watching these videos, the more we started finding these pictures, the harder it became to like remain glum.
No,
because he was that powerful a personality.
And I think one of the things we learned from him is like it is okay to make yourself the butt of a joke. And like we are constantly subjecting ourselves to dancing on green screens and looking silly, and you know, we never played Fruit Ninja Connect to the extreme that he is doing right here. But that like it's okay for it to be funny that you're doing a silly thing, and like people don't respect you less because they respect you more. I think that's why there's so much affection for him today. It's like, you know, Ryan didn't pretend that he was too fucking good for your silly game.
Yeah.
Or to become a Pikachu. I don't even address this. It's too sexual. It's too real and too meaningful. Move on. Different, just like angry Ryan Pikachu is my scariest Pikachu. I choose you, Ryan. Oh, sorry, Pope had to pause because he was restarting Get Lucky. So do you want to talk about this? Like the sort of Harmonix-y meaning of the photo that's up right now?
Yeah, we've done rock band nights at the Brattle Theater, local here in Cambridge, right near our offices for the last few PAX Easts. And bringing the Giant Bomb crew on board pretty early was definitely one of the best things we've ever done. They were kind of MCs, kind of judges for the whole night, and they would just absolutely destroy people. And again, in that way that we've talked about, like in a way that was never at your expense, it was always including you in the joke. And they, like, without a doubt, absolutely made those rock band nights for us. That they brought so many of the Giant Bomb community out, that those people like became part of our community, and that like all those different groups would mingle. Like they're all such amazing personalities, and Ryan, I know, had especially had a ton of fun, kind of co-emceeing with you and Pope and with Hannah from Improv Boston.
Yeah, and he would end up getting pretty drunk as the nights went on. Not like people just bringing them drinks, and I think like of all the people, Ryan, like, just if anyone gave him a drink, this is actually a problem when Giant Bomb had like post parties at their panels of PAX, is that like he would try to make friends with anyone, and if they gave him a drink, he would at least drink it while they were in front of him, and by the end of the night, he would just be sort of shit-talking straight to people's faces. He would cut people down to size.
Really became a problem when people would bring him things that weren't alcohol.
Yeah, like what is this? Why is this happening?
Like breast milk at the last Giant Bomb panel.
There it is! Oh man, the timing! Oh god.
Heat it up.
So one of the worst things that's ever happened. Is there more stuff from this panel of our pranking, or is this okay? Great. So let's leave this in first, but then we'll talk about the other stuff. So during a panel that is pretty important to us as Harmonix and Ryan and Giant Bomb, someone brought up a thing. I guess there was the week before, 2 weeks before on the Bombcast. I just listened to this when I was on a run when this happened. It was like Ryan was like, one of the questions at the mailbag at the end of the show was just like, hey, like, would you ever drink breast milk? Like, I'm thinking about trying it. My friend has some breast milk. It's from a reputable source. And during this panel, out of nowhere, this random stranger just walks up to the dais and puts a bottle that says, like, certified breast milk on it. And that's all it said. And Ryan, like, people started taking money about, like, you know, putting how much money it would take to get Ryan to drink it. And Ryan just took a shot of human breast milk. And then I actually watched him after the show. I mean, you know, this hopefully did not contribute to anything with his health, but he went and talked to his wife immediately afterwards, his fiance at the time, immediately afterwards, and said to Anna, like, I have to tell you something. I just did a shot of human breast milk, and there was a long pause, and he just said, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, that was the entirety of the moment. And she was understanding, like, he had to do it. It was a weird opportunity that confronted him, and he lived life in a big, crazy way.
Also worth noting, the prominent Dance Central placement on that wristband in that last shot.
I wish you could go back. The product placement of, like, me giving him a wristband that said Dance Central, and him being like, why are you giving this to me? And I was like, well, you're going to sweat under the lights, and also every shot is going to have a Dance Central logo in it, and I'm a fucking marketing genius.
Forever part of history.
Oh, terrible. I feel like a bad human being now. So Pope advanced it already. So the longer story here is that a bunch of our friends, like every year at the Bombcast, starting 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, as we enter the breakdown of Get Lucky, Ryan and Jeff and the Giant Bomb guys would sort of pick one of our group of friends and sort of like who have been on Bombcast and sort of known in the community, kind of generally troll during the Bombcast, sort of make a little bit of a spectacle of them in a way that poked fun at them, and we were all pretty good sports about it. Dave Lang was the first one in the Lang Zone. Dave had big timed someone on the floor and would not sign their autographed book for PAX because he thought they were joking. Because why would you want Dave Lang's crazy ogre signature? But the kid really wanted his signature. Bacon really wanted his signature. And so he called Dave Lang up and put him in the Lang Zone, the hot spot at the front of the theater, and made him sign whatever anyone else brought up to him. And that was sort of the kick off the tradition of the Bombcast being a prank war. And so I found out through some back channels that Ryan had like some sort of con going to prank me during the show, and Eric and I spent about 5 months, no joke, in pre-production on a set of counter pranks.
It was an action item on our daily meeting board for months.
And it worked out great.
It got as much attention as our own panels and parties for that year.
As it should have.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, it was the most important thing we did because messing around with Ryan and the Giant Bomb fans was the happiest part of our thing. So putting a ton of money and effort into this was like the most material thing. Whether it was banging the gong 2 years ago and then being able to give him a gong this year at his wedding, which maybe we'll get to later. So anyway, what Ryan had done is he and Dan Teasdale and Jeff and a bunch of other people associated with Giant Bomb had made the Drake Tracker thing, which has become its own nightmare of my daily life. And I blame Ryan largely for it. So thanks for that, Ryan. we counter-pranked him, Eric, Pope, and I counter-pranked him, along with the rest of our team's help, by hiring multiple musical acts to interrupt them. So Eric actually walked in singing Danny Boy because, what were you supposed to sing? Do you remember?
Grace.
Amazing. Are you sang Amazing Grace? Yeah, you're supposed to sing Danny Boy because we're in Boston with a bagpiper, but she didn't know Danny Boy, so we had to sing Amazing Grace. So Eric just sang Giant Bomb, oh Giant Bomb, while marching around the front, interrupting their panel, which led to me...
Before they even got through the intro.
No, it was like the middle of the day.
First 3 minutes
I don't think
of the
Patrick had
day.
even been introduced yet.
Nope.
So Pope interrupted them, and they thought it was the beginning of the prank, and then we immediately switched to... we don't have a picture of the other stuff, so I brought out... After Ryan brought out his prank to me, I interrupted his prank with a counter prank, and we brought out a mariachi band. Which is sort of my big reveal. And at the end of it, I said to him, like, oh, you think we're done? And I sat back down, and then Max Temkin from Cards Against Humanity was our undercover agent who had helped us with the planning of this and some of the payment for it. He brought out this weird, like, mediocre Dixieland jazz band to interrupt the panel and wrap it up. And, 2 years ago, Pope and I played in, like, a ska band for the Bombcast. We played, we'd done live music before. And, like, every year it got more and more elaborate. And the whole idea was that, like, nothing seemed to make Ryan happier than just like his friends doing the dumbest shit to make things like funny and weird and like unexpected. And this was like the most unexpected thing we could come up with. And I'm glad because the stakes have gone really high, so I don't know what we would have done. We were planning on getting like the Harlem Globetrotters to interrupt their panel this year. Yeah. Yes. Oh man, that's not funny. Move on. Next slide. What you just said is not funny. Ryan was always down for a good time. This is him dancing on our E3 stage for Dance Central 2 in the Microsoft booth. I got shoved. Jeremy Hoffman actually took this photo. He shoved me out of the way to take this photo. If only he'd had Google Glass then, he would not have had to do so. But Ryan got down, and that was him dancing with Chanel and Pope in the background, Pope wearing the hat. So was Alex working with us? This is right after Alex had left. He was with Giant Bomb. So Alex Navarro on the left there had worked at Harmonix for a year or two, sort of in between GameSpot and going back to Giant Bomb and Whiskey Media. And we were happy to have him, and it was another reason we were connected to those guys, and they did a great job sort of making us feel like part of their family. So this is a pretty good summary of Ryan as a dude. Like, he has a lot of promise and potential in games. He wants your game to be fun and good and enjoyable, and I think that's probably true for people too. Like, he had no time for bullshit or pretentiousness. He just wanted you to be a dude who could talk to him. A dude of any gender. I do use dude as a gender normative term. I mean dude, lady dudes, male dudes.
The Latin dude.
The Latin dude, from dudo, the Latin, it's a fourth conjugation verb. What am I talking about? Anyway, yeah. And then this is the worst. So this is, I don't know why, if there was audio on this, which I'm glad there's not, the reason that Jeff is laughing so hard is because I made it sound like a stuck pig. So Patrick had bought, drunk Patrick Klepek on the left there and with the curly hair, had bought this weird shock machine, this game of like, you have to hit a button as a quick time event when this light stops, almost like a hot potato, but with high voltage electricity. And so Ryan and I were playing, and I was holding...
High voltage electricity.
Well, relatively high voltage. And Ryan and I were playing this. I was just like I think I was just in San Francisco for something, and I stopped by and I did a quick look of like, what was the game, the heist game where you sneak around and everyone's different colors?
Monaco?
Monaco. I did a quick look at Monaco, and then it somehow degenerated into this, I think. And I got shocked like a motherfucker, which is why everyone is laughing except for me, and I'm jumping up and down like an idiot. 4 more. So that was a fun moment. This is Ryan at his wedding. Looking good, looking handsome as shit. A bunch of us, like me and Eric Pope and Casey Malone, sort of the Boston crew, were able to go out there last Saturday, not this past Saturday, but the one before that, to easily the hottest wedding I've ever been to. It was like 100 degrees outside in the shade. Ryan was getting married in the hot sun. Ryan was not a dude who did not sweat, but he looked good the whole wedding. The rest of us were a nightmare. Casey was wearing a wool suit. I thought he was gonna just black out.
Casey.
And Ryan, one of the most fun weddings I've ever been to. Ryan's bride walked down the aisle to the West Wing theme song. This is Ryan and I toasting with some Diet Cokes. Ryan decided to continue to troll me during the wedding by having a wheelbarrow of Diet Coke wheeled over to me. And then to show it was all in good fun, as everything with Ryan was, he walked over and cheers me. This is, I think, our friend Steph Bayer from PopCap took this photo, and we
that
then
speaks
chugged some
highly
Diet Cokes.
to his relationship with people too. That it wasn't just like a professional relationship. Like, these are people that he like had real, intimate, personal relationships with. It's not like inviting a coworker to your wedding. It was having friends.
No, I mean, we were friends, right? Like, this is a great photo of him and John Vignacchi, and they've known each other for a long time. Johnny works at Disney Infinity. He's working on Disney Infinity at Disney Interactive. friends with all of us. Like, this is, the last time Johnny saw him right before Johnny got in the car and drove away. Like, that's how he was with people. He was incredibly warm. Casey told a story on his blog, on Casey Malone's blog, about at the end of it, him hugging Pope and Casey goodbye at the wedding, and just like, because he knew his hands were clammy and sweaty from being outside all day, just stroking their faces, which was just the worst, like, dinosaur tongue feeling at that time of the day. And this is the photo that's on, is it thanksryan.com? So thanksryan.com is a site that Dave Snyder, who's the sort of chief designer behind Giant Bomb and some of the old GameSpot stuff, and Tested and a bunch of other sites that were part of the Whiskey Media thing. Dave's a really, really amazing designer and a smart, funny dude. And he put together a page real quick over the weekend, I guess, to sort of it's a really real talk memorial. It's like not just like a, hey, you were my friend and I miss you and I love you. And Jeff, I was reading earlier, Gersman tweeted, that like this photo just made him crack up like crazy. And it's like a really nice, wonderful photo, but also like just knowing Ryan, like immediately all of us are just like, what the fuck is he looking at? Like, what happened to make this photo happen? He looks so good, but also like so serious, and this is like just not the sort of like stoic, like hopeful Ryan that I think he was underneath, but we all just sort of knew him as like the quick talking, jokey, fun guy. So Dave sort of in his epic trolley way like makes fun of Ryan a little bit on the page and has his photo up, which is somehow both really touching and sweet and also just really funny at the same time. So yeah, that's our friend Ryan Davis. And we may want to crossfade out the Get Lucky music, or just play it out. You know what? Fuck it. Keep it going. Keep it going.
Keep it rolling.
Then start it over now, because I want this going over the chat forever. We're gonna leave the stream until we're all exhausted. We just, again, it's a weird thing. We're all pretty devastated here. He's not a games industry colleague. He's not just like a guy we know who we see at E3 and GDC and PAX and PAX East and the Big Live show in September and Gamescom sometimes and DICE sometimes. Like, I basically just listed 6 events off the top of my head that I might have seen Ryan at. He's someone I saw more than I saw some of the people that I've been in relationships with. He's someone I saw more than my bosses. Like, he was a big part of our lives, and I was happy and lucky to call him a friend for the past couple years. He's a really, really important dude in video games and to Harmonix and to me as a person and how I've do my job and live my life, which is a weird thing to say. It's a really profoundly weird thing to be like, he changed the way that I am with people. But the idea of having a persona on the internet that you interact with people with and things people know about you and just wanting to answer everybody. Like the two people who I probably got that the most from are Sean Baptiste, our some former colleague at Harmonix, who just would answer every email that someone sent Harmonix because they wanted people to know that there was someone on the other side of that game that really wanted to do something. And Ryan, who just never said no to anybody, never was afraid to pick a fight and tell someone they were wrong, but mostly in a way that made them laugh and made them feel like they were talking to someone that they knew or wanted to know or had a great relationship with. Because when you watch somebody on a podcast every Tuesday and 3 live shows a week and big events, you feel like you get to know them a little bit, and a lot of the time that's not true. A lot of people who do on-camera stuff are kind of constructed personalities with
just
walls in front of them.
heads.
Yeah, and they're reading a script or they're reading a prompter, and they're real people too, but you don't necessarily get to know them. And with Ryan, you should know if you feel sad today and you think you know Ryan and feel like you kind of lost somebody, you did. You knew him. I mean, you might not have been his best friend. You may have never met him in person, but the person that he was on Twitter and the person he was on the live shows and the person he was at Giant Bomb in the world was very much the person that he was every day to people he was closest with. So
I think that really came across. I mean, if you were on the internet at all today, I think that was apparent. Yeah. That Twitter was just an ongoing Ryan chat all day. He became
he trended worldwide. Of course he did. Of course he did.
I wouldn't have had it any other way. That's so perfect for him that everyone, just and to see such universally positive comments from people was, I mean, that's perfect. That's him in a nutshell.
So we'll leave the chat going for a while on this page in case people want to hang out and talk to each other and swap stories. I don't think we're gonna do any no Q&A or anything like that. There's nothing really to answer other than we're sad we lost our friend, and it is terrible. This has been a weird show. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm not sure if we can post it or not to YouTube later because of Get Lucky, but maybe fuck it. Maybe we'll just post it and see if Warner takes it down.
Go and watch other videos with Ryan.
Yeah, go Google or YouTube. Go to giantbomb.com.
Go to giantbomb and watch everything.
Become a member of giantbomb.com. Stay tuned. There's chances that we're going to be doing some charity stuff in his name or in his memory or something for his family. So stay tuned to our feeds. I'm sure Harmonix will tweet about it. I know I'll tweet about it. I'm John T. Drake, HMX Henry, Mr. Pope on Twitter. Like, we'll all be tweeting about it. And you can, we'll be back next week at 6 o'clock with normal content because the show goes on. Like, this is the dude who this year at E3, like, all of their camera equipment got stolen on Monday night. And, on Tuesday they still did a big live show in a weird, dumb police station set that he and Vinny went down and scouted. And I am really horrified that my last on-camera thing with Ryan that I can think of was me in a tank top double-fisting Diet Cokes and yelling. But maybe it's perfect.
How happy would he be with that?
He would be so fucking satisfied.
So happy
in the same way
that
weirdly, that the link to the article on Giant Bomb is, the thumbnail for the link on Facebook is alternately a Last of Us screenshot and a American Dad screen grab. And I just think he would love how fucking terrible that is. Like, thanks, Facebook, for your random thumbnail generator. You were the worst. We're having a lot of fun just because, like, he's a fun dude. If you go look at anything on YouTube or on giantbomb.com with Ryan hosting, go watch his walkthrough of Kirby's Epic Yarn with Alex Navarro. Go walk his, like, gleeful Hotline Miami playthrough with Patrick. These are things where he is just, like, full of joy and doing what he loves, which is talking to his friends about everything. Games, life, media, TV, just stupid shit.
Well, because the alternative is just crushing existential despair, and that's not a lot of fun.
No, and that's what we've been feeling for a couple days since he passed away. And actually, weirdly, today was kind of the best and the worst. Like, today was the first time that I bawled like a maniac right when I found out from Johnny when he called me, and then I was kind of okay for a couple days and talked to people on the phone. It was like, yes, it's really sad. I feel bad for his family. I'm really going to miss him a lot, but I was kind of okay in being stoic about it. I didn't really dig in too much because I wasn't really ready to deal with it. And today was really intense this morning to see people find out about it and just to feel like the bottoming out of everyone being so warm and sad at the same time. But then like the upswing of that being like, the dude's life was happy and he had a great last week and he made a lot of great videos that are going to make people happy for a long time, and just some of the dumbest things that made him really happy that still make us really happy. So if you're not familiar with Ryan and you somehow stuck out this entire stream, it's a weird introduction, but okay. But even if you are familiar with Ryan or you've seen him in one or two things, like, go follow some feeds and check out the good stuff that he's done. So
it's all good stuff.
Yeah. We'll be back next week. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Hopefully this was okay and cool. We're going to miss our friend a lot. And big ups to Pope for putting together a show on a day where we're all pretty distraught. So our thoughts with Jeff Gerstmann and the guys at Giant Bomb, and with Anna and his family out in San Francisco. And we will be back to do more dumb video game things because that's what Ryan would have wanted. But other than that, thanks for tuning in, and we'll miss you, buddy.